Here on the mid-north coast of New South Wales, we've had the hottest temperatures throughout January I think we've had in the last, say, 4 years. And it's been a real struggle to keep the garden alive and just try and survive out here trying to do some gardening. And in this video, I'm going to share my 3 tips to get through a hot January garden. Welcome to Soil and Soul. So I've got 3 tips to share on how I got through these last 4 weeks in a very hot garden in January. Tip number 1, mulch. Tip number 2, mulch. And tip number 3, mulch. We're in the temperate subtropical climate and we've been experiencing well over 80% humidity throughout January, and it's predicted for February as well. Many of our hardier garden plants are failing in this heat. The soil is hot and the air is hot, and I've really got to pick and choose which plants need more water than others. So mulching and composting are top priority in my garden because mulching protects these delicate roots from these extremely hot temperatures, and it provides temporary shades for new plants, but most importantly for water conservation. Maintaining hydration in the past several weeks has been really quite a challenge here on the mid-north coast, as our Shire Council has imposed water restrictions for the next few months. So this area has a water cycle that's reliant upon the flow of the Macleay River, which in turn is impacted by the rainfall in the upper Macleay catchment. So right now we are at the lowest level of water restrictions, which is level 1. So we can only use handheld hoses for 1 hour every second day between 4 p.m. and 9 a.m. We can't use micro spray water systems for more than 15 minutes. And because our house is an odd number, we can only water on odd days of the month. If it wasn't for mulching, our garden just would not exist. Most of our backyard was grass. We had a few shrubs, but no edibles. 4 years ago, our side yard looked like this. And now it looks like this, full of edibles and pollinator flowers. We've got some asparagus there, and down the end of the yard here, I've got my composting plant with liquid plant fertilizers as well. None of this would have been possible without sheet composting, especially not for me in my 70s. It took a little patience while that decomposition took place in the middle part of our garden in the first year. And then about 12 months ago, I started on the side grass patch. We added layers of cardboard, newspaper, we added nitrogen-rich materials such as cut grass and soft clippings and some of our spent plants, and then along with tougher materials such as leaves and wood chips to provide carbon. From this to this in under 4 years. An important part of the mulching routine involve our 4 little silky chicks. Well, we've only got a little backyard. Not only are they cute and funny, but they are laying eggs every day. Let's see, looks like there's 2 in situ and there's a lineup. Ladies in waiting. Looks like 3 eggs today. Correction, we had 4 today. We've been enjoying beautiful golden omelettes like this. Fresh eggs, Tomatoes from the garden, spring onions and rocket, all from the garden, yes, and that is homemade sourdough as well. Back to the mulching production line. I cut the top out of the bag and I cut slits in the bottom, and then I water it really well on my allowed watering day. Then I haul it up to the little chicken run and I break it open a little bit and I add some treats in there so they can scratch around and find their treats. They just love turning this over for me. Then they get to work for about a week and this bale of hay has been turned over countless times and it looks like this. This chicken litter is absolutely brilliant to use as a fertiliser. And it's even better when I mix in my homemade liquid plant fertiliser. Then I water the soil, create a little well for my seedlings, add the mulch mixed with chook manure, create a collar to protect the seedlings by cutting out the bottom of an old pot. I raided one of my compost bins and added some more mulch. I'm planting zucchini, so I really need to raise it up. Now with daily readings around 30 degrees Celsius and more, I need an extra protective barrier. And then all I need to do is secure it into place and then water it all well. These seedlings are going to take off in this shaded and well mulched part of the garden. And this is what our garden looked like last week. This year I'm learning to utilise the shaded part of the garden more. In the middle garden patch, I can grow sun-loving plants and then utilise the shaded area in the hot summer months to grow soft leafy vegetables. About 2 weeks ago, our cucumbers looked like this, but with the high humidity, along came the pests. But look at the little cucamelon on the left. It's really resistant to those same pests, so that's something I'm going to grow next January as well. Cecilbrunner rose really copped it in this humid weather. We had to cut it back and get rid of all the black spot, and now new growth is looking good. A garden population of bugs and beetles and caterpillars and even grasshoppers has really exploded with the humidity and, of course, a lush habitat of mulch. These pest screens from the Aussie Gardener store have been helping a lot. I'll leave a link in the description below. I've got about 8 screens now, and I create the soft leaf plantings to match the footprint of these frames. The tomatoes seem to be surviving well, but our beans, we're sharing them with a colony of something. These little sweet chilies have obviously got a friendly batch of insects. We're getting some chilies, but some are just rotting on the vine. So we just need to check each day, and sometimes I get lucky. There's one ready for our dinner. I just have to be patient through these hot months, and happy to share just a few things with the bugs. One big lesson that I've learnt for this summer is not to rely on lettuce as the basis of our summer salads. We needed to be more creative and keep the lettuce for the autumn and winter salads. This summer I planted plenty of spring onions, rocket, chives and garlic chives, some sweet chilies, and lots of volunteer tiny tomatoes and even dandelion. I need to wait to plant my warrigal spinach, so I planted a whole lot of Malabar spinach and it's been really tasty in our salads. So once I've collected all the leaves, and there are a few nibbles out of it, I wash all of the leaves and get ready to trim them up. Managed to get a few purple beans from those scatty old vines. I harvested a lot of basil from last year and made some pesto. Here are some onions, and I grated some carrots just to add to the salad, and toasted almonds. Presentation and knife skills may not be 100%, but I'm making seasonal salads from the garden every day, and every day it's a little bit different. these rough chopped salad goodies can go into the bowl, and I added the store-bought carrots and store-bought onions, and then our little tomatoes added some brilliant colour to the salad. Once I mixed it around, I added my homemade basil pesto from last year and topped it off with the almonds. Now, with the high heat and the humidity, the mulch is a lifesaver in my garden, and we can still have seasonal salads all throughout January and February without lettuce. And you wouldn't believe it, just out of January, and we have had really heavy rain over the last couple of nights and days, and the garden is just loving it, and so am I.